Welcome to the Land, your bet sports betting show. Josh Lander coming to you here with a 10-game slate on Monday night. Hope everybody had a successful betting Sunday on that Super Bowl and a merry end of NFL betting to all until we get back into that, obviously, next year. Here, we're going to be running through all 10 games on the slate on Monday in the NBA. I'm going to get through as many of these projections and best bets as I can with you guys for such a big slate here. I've got a number of best bets, which I bring you each and every night, the night before with these projections. And then on the day of games, 3 p.m. Eastern every day that we have these NBA games, I'm bringing you best bets, that my final player props and the like. So continue to follow along if you would. Subscribe to the page so you know that you're getting this each and every day. And let's get right into what I've got here for Monday slate, starting off with this Philly and Cleveland game. The 76ers, we know they have a very littered injury report here. Joel Embiid out 6 to 8 weeks. Nicholas Batum is out. D'Anthony Melton, Robert Covington are still out. Robert Covington might not be back for this regular season. And this is a quick look at what the starting five was on Saturday for this Philly team when they finally picked up a win after sliding for a while and beat the Wizards by just 6 points on Saturday. But we had Paul Reed, Tobias Harris, Oubre Jr., Hield, and Maxey. And that was the majority of who you saw in that game. And I think that'll probably continue to be the case as we move forward. For the Cavaliers, this injury report was just recently submitted, but everybody's healthy. So there's nobody really to talk about on it. So let's look at quickly the last 10. And I do want to remind you that Joel Embiid was in for about 3 of these games for the last 10 for the Phillies, for the 76ers. The defensive rating there for them, not good. 24th. And that Cavs offensive rating has been pretty good. Everything here for the Philly, as you look down, opponent effective field goal percentage, second to last versus the 6th best there for the Cavs in their last 10. Opponent rim field goal percentage. They are just getting crushed at the rim there, 29th in that, and the Cavs 7th in rim field goal percentage. They've had Darius Garland and Evan Mobley back for the majority of these about half of these last 10, I should say, and that's helpful enough, obviously. And then the three-pointers made. That Philly defense has been awful against the three, awful down low. That's just how you're going to get crushed. They have been limiting free throw attempts, but the Cavs are just going to keep bringing it to them, and they're not going to have the size to hang with this Cavaliers team, who is finally healthy and will be big and strong and getting to the rim and probably getting to the free throw line as well. So not much to like here for Philly on defense. Also not much to like for them on offense because they're playing maybe the best defense in the league. According to defensive rating over their last 10, they are the best defensive team in the league, and Philly has been the 4th worst. And that includes, like I said, about 6 games with Joel Embiid playing, maybe 3 games actually that Joel Embiid played. I want to be very clear there. So the offensive rating is bad. He was still in there for a little bit of it and still 4th worst in the last 10 games. The effective field goal percentage is worse, the worst in the league. And just a reminder, effective field goal percentage takes into account that a 3-pointer is more difficult than a 2-pointer. So if you miss a 3, it impacts your field goal percentage slightly less. If you make a 3, it impacts your effective field goal percentage slightly more because it's a more difficult shot. They just can't make shots from anywhere. Their rim frequency, meaning they're going to the rim the 10th most in the league in the last 10. And like I said, that includes only 3 games with Joel Embiid. So even when he's been out, they're attacking the rim with guys like Maxey and Tobias Harris. That makes a lot of sense. The problem is that the rim field goal percentage of the opponents of the Cavs is 2nd best for the Cavaliers. They are not giving up, obviously, and they never have with this lineup in, especially once they got healthy. And the combination of Mobley and Allen brings them right back into the 2nd best opponent rim field goal percentage. So even if that is what the 76ers want to do, not likely that they're going to get very many good looks there. And the threes made is dead last for them. The free throw attempt rate is 27th for them in the last 10. And once again, that includes when Joel Embiid was there and they led the league in that before his absence. So this is just not going to be much for them. I haven't bet the Cavs. I don't see this spread getting that high, to be honest with you. I still think that there's a bit of an overvalue on Tyrese Maxey. So I would bet the Cavs at -9. I haven't yet. I have a few more bets in here I'll go through, but I'm supporting that bet. And by the time the best bets video comes out tomorrow, I have a strong feeling that the Cavs will be in there in a bet that you'll see. So the next game I'll look at real quick is the Bulls and the Hawks. I'm leaning heavily on the Hawks here. The only thing is I want to know if Alex Caruso plays. You can see that he's questionable there. Pat Williams is out, and he is going to be reevaluated in 7 to 10 days. Not looking good for him and his return before, let's say, March. Doesn't seem like he'll be back in February, so we'll see what happens there. Zach LaVine, as we know, is out for the season. And then on the Hawks, newcomer, I think he's been on the Hawks before, but newcomer maybe, Patty Mills is doubtful to play in this one. And then Clint Capella has an MRI strain that he is going to need to be reevaluated in 7 to 10 days as well. not a great for him, but we will continue to look at Onyeka Okongwu props for the Hawks as we move forward because our man came through on Friday in a 5-4 night that we had there. So I don't have a bet on the Hawks just yet. Like I said, I want to see what happens to Caruso because there might be some value on the Bulls if Caruso is in this game and his ability to limit Trae Young. I prefer an over there, to be honest. So we'll see how that goes with Caruso's injury, but I have nothing for that until then. This is probably the game of the night, but man, are the Bucks sliding. And to be honest, Nuggets haven't looked great either. I was at that game where they just got spanked by the Kings on Friday night. Did not look good for them. But KCP is questionable in this, and that's another dude that I would really like to know if he's playing before I put too much money on this. I'll go through a best bet that I do have in this game. It is for half a unit, though, so we'll look at that in a second. Chris Middleton is out as well. All right, what I want to take you through here is Denver on the road and Milwaukee at home. Obviously, that's the situation we face here, and it's hyper relevant to the bet that I have. -1.5 is the line for the Nugs, and 232.5 is the total. But if you look at the Nuggets' last 5 on the road, and this dates back to about the 25th of January, offensive rating is second worst for teams playing on the road in that time frame. Not second worst overall, but on the road for teams playing on the road since that time. Second worst. That is a wild stat at any point in the season for any amount of games to me that they would have the second worst offensive rating on the road. Highly impacted by the 30-point blowout that they just took by scoring like 100 points basically against the Kings in Sacramento when they didn't play anybody and they didn't try for what seemed like a single second of that entire game. The defensive rating has been a little bit better than the offensive rating, right? Middle of the pack. Effective field goal percentage on offense is terrible, 5th worst, 6th worst. An opponent effective field goal percentage, pretty good for them compared to the way that they're playing offense again, right? Everything here is leaning towards they're at least playing a little bit of defense and playing super slowly on the road with the 4th slowest pace when they're away from their building in the last 5 games. All of that obviously kind of leads you to go, well, okay, the offense is not working, but the defense is working a bit more for the Nuggets, and they're playing slow. Under seems likely. What about the Bucks at home? They play super fast. Can you really depend on a under for the Bucks when they play at home with the way that they play defense? Well, actually, in their last 5 games at home, and that's back since the 15th of January because they've been playing a lot more on the road as of late. 15th in offensive rating, 5th in defensive rating. Really surprising for this team. 16th in effective field goal percentage, no bueno. And their opponent, they're 4th best in limiting their opponent's effective field goal percentage. All surprising things for me that make me go, sweet. If you see this game in the 230s like this, I'm going under. The last thing here should also be pace for them. They have been at home in the 7th in pace. That's a typo there, but either way, not really anything that you'd like for them in terms of the over. So yeah, that is the bet, and I'm going half a unit on it. I don't think this game really will climb, to be honest with you. I would hit this pretty early if you see this video and want to take an under on this game. I wouldn't wait to hit it. If anything, I would see this going down a bit. People who have models like the one that I'm using, they're going to see KCP come in and they're going to go, all right, well, if he's in, then I love the under because he is such an impactful player on defense for the way that the Nuggets are able to sort of limit their opponents and then control things by getting into the half-court offense. Not really a big transition team for the Nuggets, so they'd rather play at that slow pace, especially against the Bucks, who have relied on a fast pace to be able to win games, which they have not been doing. And now they're playing with Glenn Doc Rivers as their head coach. That also makes us think of unders before overs in this one. So yeah, heavy lean and a small bet here so far on the under for this game, and I'll probably put another half a unit on this. So feel free to put a full unit on it for yourselves as far as this goes. All right, next game. Warriors and Jazz. Warriors at Jazz. I do have a bet for this game as well. I have 2 bets for this game. Chris Paul's out. Guy Santos, if you're not familiar who he is, he and a couple other young guys for the Warriors are the reason that I've been taking some unders for the Warriors, and they have been under machines. But for the Jazz, they're fully healthy, and they haven't played since Thursday. So they are going to be rested and ready to go in their home building, where you might think it would be more likely that you're going to see an over. But let me just look at some stuff with you over the last 5 for each team. And that's Golden State on the road, Utah at home, so that we get these specific splits in here. Offensive rating for the Dubs on the road has been really good, 6th best. Defensive rating, even best. 3rd best defensive rating on the road in their last 5 away from their building. You look at the Jazz O rating, okay, 2nd best offensive rating, 24th in defensive rating. Pretty big mismatch there. Obviously, they're a lot better at offense at home, are the Jazz. We've been talking about that all season. Their splits are ridiculous. Their offensive rating on the road, I believe, is 5th or 6th worst in the league. So that's pretty big difference from 2nd best to 5th worst. As you see, the pace should be decently high for both these teams. The fact of the matter is, when these 2 teams have played in Golden State's building, the games have been a lot more under. When they play at the Jazz building, it definitely goes over. At least the last one did. Went to 247 in the game that they played earlier, or last season, I should say, but it just doesn't feel the same for them. While the effective field goal percentage for the Dubs has been awesome at 9th best, and same for the Jazz, 8th best when they're at home, the opponent effective field goal percentage for the Dubs here is 2nd best. They've been D'ing up. They've been playing slower and D'ing up when they have guys that are like Guy Santos that come in. Even other guys that are coming off the bench are playing a bit slower than the starters have been, and the Steph and the Clays, who have always wanted to go a lot faster and get shots off really quickly. But the last thing I say here is the opponent free throw attempt rate for the Warriors. I want to bring that up because they have been bad at it in the past, but 12th best for them over the course of the last 5 is actually an improvement from what they were on the season, which is definitely in the bottom 5 and at times has been the worst in the league. The Jazz are going to attack the rim. They're going to get to the free throw line as much as they can, but I do think the Warriors are going to be able to limit that more than we've seen as of late. So the bets that I have for this one, 1.5, I'll take the Dubs as the dog here, and I will also take under 243.5 for the Dubs, even though that is a scary thing to think of in Utah. I think that this is probably not going to go much lower than like 242 at the most. I don't think people will be betting an under. They'll see Jazz on the road and they'll just blindly bet an over. But this one, I think, might take us back a little bit more to an under. All right, an actually interesting game. Minnesota is at the Clippers, and this line has actually moved a smidge from 3.5 to plus 4.5 for the Timberwolves. You can still get a -4 for the Clippers, but it is moving in favor of the Clippers, as you can see. 222.5 is the total. Don't have much of a lean there. I think that's pretty fair. And honestly, these are two teams that have been really good on defense at times, also kind of pretty good at offense at times. So I don't really know how they're going to come together here, but I do know everyone is healthy for the Clippers. Some of the key stats I'm looking at, though, I'm just kind of looking at the way the T-Wolves have been playing, regardless of if they're on the road or not. Like I said, this is up to 4.5. The offensive rating for them has been 9th best in their last 5. Their defensive rating has been 3rd best, which is better than these Clippers have been playing D in their last 5 anyway. And there's still not a lot of points going around for the Clippers because they're playing at a pretty slow pace. The 11th fastest pace, that's actually moved up. They were playing 16th fastest. Well, it's a little bit of an anomaly with some of the teams that they've been playing, but the Timberwolves, no matter who they play, have been going very slowly, 24th in pace, and they've been better on offense and just much better on defense. That's what I'm focused on here is like, I do think that the Timberwolves will continue to be able to hang with the Clippers. A really important stat as well is how well do you defend the isolation. The Clippers rather, are in isolation more than any other team in the league. Unsurprisingly, they have 3 of the best offensive isolation players in the game. Timberwolves have some good defense. Now, Jaden McDaniels would be awesome to have. He hasn't been as good as we'd hoped necessarily, but he is an excellent wing defender with the size to help out with guys like Kawhi and with PG. So if he's not playing, it is a bit of a loss for Minnesota. But honestly, I'm still just going to get into my best bet. This is just a complete feel for me that once it got to 4.5, like I said, that's available now. And the best you're going to get for the Clips right now is -4. Man, I want to ride with the Timberwolves on this one. And I might look really silly because the Clippers have smacked some teams and just wiped the floor with them in their home building or otherwise. But they had a bad loss to the Pellies at home the other night. That was a weird, fluky one to me. And then they barely beat the Pistons the other night at home. I don't want to just rely entirely on recency numbers because the Clippers could just come out of nowhere and like completely make me look stupid in this one. But I kind of just feel like these two teams are so closely matched that this is like a 4-3-2 point game in that range. And then if I can get a 4.5, I feel good. I'd love a 5.5. 5 is a key number betting the NBA when it comes down to free throws and when you're willing to foul, that kind of thing. There's been proven that 5.5 versus 4.5. 5 is a key number. If you can get over 5 for the dog or under 5 for the favorite, you're in a good place. So if I can get over 5 for these Timberwolves, I love it. But I want to hit a half a unit at 4.5 because I can see this fluctuating where some people are going to be like all over the Clippers and then they'll get to 5.5, 6. And then some people are going to be like, that's way too much and bet it right back down. So I'm going to wait to see if that happens. But I think 4.5 is a nice little middle of that number that I'm looking for, that I'm going to take it with a half a unit. All right, a couple of games I just want to look at who is and is not likely playing. The Pellies -9 with Zion questionable, Cody Zeller's questionable, and Dyson Daniels is out. This is at 223.5, and obviously you get the Grizz at +9. I don't know what to do with this game either. The Pellies are a team that I've gotten wrong so consistently. If you were following the other night, you saw that we did not get that game right where they tried to play the Lakers on the second leg of a back-to-back for the Lakers, and the Pellies got actually trounced, which was wild. I had that game at -1 or +1 for the Pels and did not come through. So I'm taking another little break from betting on this stupid team. And the Grizzlies are just throwing out God knows who. I mean, if you look at who they started last game and all the minutes, Vince Williams is still getting a bunch of minutes. Jaren Jackson Jr. is. John Conchar got minutes that game, and so did Santi Aldama. Sometimes you get a little bit more. Luke Kennard, maybe he's coming back from injury. Derrick Rose is doubtful to play in this one. I don't really know what to do with this Grizzlies team, and I'm really tired of trying to figure it out. I can find some spots here and there. This just ain't one of them. So let's look at a couple other injury reports we have here. We got the Knicks with just a ton of people that are on these injury reports as well. Hartenstein is questionable. I think Jericho Sims is going to play. He is probable now, but OG is out and Julius Randle is out. The good news is Jalen Brunson is likely playing. There's no real news about him, so I think he's back from that injury. And as far as the Rockets go, yeah, they're going to be missed. Sengun is not necessarily out. I believe he's questionable. And then Cam Whitmore is out. So this is not totally Sengun is not guaranteed to be out, basically. If he does play in this one, 4.5 might be a bit much at home with the way that the Knicks are hurt, but this Rockets team hasn't been great in terms of isolation defense unless it's at home. So that's the thing that's weird is they are such a difference maker when they're at home. So it matters. If Sengun is playing matters, and the fact that the Rockets are at home matters. So if Sengun is playing, this 4.5 feels right, but I don't want to try to get ahead of that and guess if he is or not, to be honest. And if he's out, 4.5 for the Knicks with Jalen Brunson in actually feels way, way better. I do not trust this. This Rockets team will not be able to score for nothing. If Sengun and Fred VanVleet are out, they're not even going to have Cam Whitmore out there to just be like, all right, man, just go get a bunch of fast break points and steals because we don't know how else to score, right? Amon Thompson is going to be running this offense at that point, and that's just not, he's not ready to do that. One of my favorite rooks, but just not ready to do that. So, yeah, if Sengun's out, this is a big time for Knicks -4.5. The other games here with the Mavericks and the Wizards, man, this one, don't know what to tell you. I'm out on that one as well. Let me just 3, 2, and 1. And that is all the time that I have for you guys in this one. Try to get through as many games as I could. Not sure what you want me to do with the 14.5 point spread that the Mavericks are boasting against this Wizards team, other than maybe take them, but that's too high, to be honest. And then Spurs and the Raptors, kind of lean Spurs in that one, but I'll have more for it in best bets if I do put anything together on the card for that one. But like I said, all the time we have, so subscribe to that page if you would. Like the videos, jump in the comments, let me know what's up. Sorry I missed you guys on Saturday. I was traveling, couldn't get to a video, but we are back and ready to go until we get to All-Star break. Also going to have a special All-Star episode for you so you can get some of these bets I'm playing for All-Star weekend. And until I see you next, happy betting.